it's like a game plan that you can practice, and it's the techniques and tactics that allow you to be more clever and creative. Like it shows you how to flex, how to heighten, how to begin to do the things that pro comics do.
Greetings, everyone. Come on in and have a seat up front for the Funny Muscle Podcast. If you're here, then you're looking to learn how to create laughs like a pro. So please help me welcome to the stage your co-host to help you do that, economics professor and open micer Chris Stifler and comedian turned author Mike Lucas.
All right, Mike. So last time we talked all about the humor blueprint and how misdirection is at the heart of getting laughs. I want to take your humor blueprint and your humor heightening devices and see them in action. So I want to apply them to a bit I'm working on. This happened on a plane where a couple was like getting cuddling and kissing on next to me in the plane. So I'd say something like, it seems lately we've thrown out all the acceptable social norms that we used to follow.
Is part of your premise. Like, I thought it used to be unacceptable to make out on an airplane. Like, that's all your premise. My flight last month on Southwest, I had a couple starting to fondle each other. See,
it's wordy.
Oh, okay. When do you want to trade me for my middle seat? That's funny because now we find out that you're in between them. So that's funny. So you took way too long to get to it, though.
Okay.
My flight last week, on my flight last month on Southwest, I had a couple near me started fondling each other. The gal put her leg up on the guy, and then they started kissing. Finally, I said, "Is your setup?" And because the norm that we expect is to say, "Hey, stop that. Hey, don't do that. Hey, that's rude. Hey, there's kids in the plane." But really, it's do one of you want my middle seat? So I would start that. I had a flight last month on Southwest, and there was a couple who started to fondle each other. The girl put her leg up and they started kissing. So that's your premise right there. Finally, I had to turn to them and say, "Hey, do you want to trade for my middle seat?" Boom. Because the whole time we're thinking that they're over there, but really they're right next to me. And that's the fun. Right. That's the funny twist. That's the how awkward is it? It's so awkward that it was happening on either side of me.
Let's show the heightening devices in action. Let's throw it at the airplane bit. The airplane PDA.
Yeah. So do the joke now. Like I don't know if you can.
Let's see so the first thing I noticed, I had a decent joke structure, right? I had a setup premise. I didn't have very good lens.
Yeah, it was wordy. It was too wordy. Like you were trying to that I think that's a thing that a lot of newer comics do is they're really not sure what it's going to take to get into the joke. And so they sometimes tend to talk too much about all of it when really the key is to get to it quickly, and then you can heighten. On my flight last month on Southwest, I had a couple starting to fondle each other, and then they started kissing. Finally, and then the setup is finally I said, "Okay, we've thrown out socially accepted norms." Yeah, so that could be your sort of implied premise. And then you could say, like, I thought it used to be unacceptable to make out on an airplane. But on my flight last month on Southwest, I had a couple, I had a nearby couple started to fondle each other. I could see that a nearby couple had started to fondle each other. The girl even put her leg over his thing. Finally, I had to say, "Excuse me." And then that would be the setup. Finally, I had to say, "Excuse me." And then the norm would be, "Stop doing that. Hey, that's inappropriate. We don't do that in public." But then how intrusive was it?
It's violate the norm. How blank is it? I'm saying, how intrusive? It's a good question to ask yourself. How intrusive was it? And this is going to help us play the heightening game.
Yeah, and then it was so intrusive that it was nearby. It was like on either side of me, kind of a thing.
The norm is that they're in your row with you, but they're seat 1 and 2, and you're seat 3. And we're going to violate that expectation.
No, they're seat 1 and 3. They're seat A and C, and you're seat B. Right? they're bread and you're salami or whatever.
So
You're you're the ho you're the if this is a if your situation was a hoagie, they're the bread and you're the meat.
comparing it to the Rodney Dangerfield that we analyzed earlier, you pictured the wife at home opening the
Right.
door to Rodney coming home, and then you're going to bait and switch. So you're picturing the couple in seat A and seat B,
Right.
and then the reveal is the switch is I'm in seat B.
Exactly. And so, and the other bait and switch we're thinking that you're offended by having to watch it, but truly you're just embarrassed by
Oh,
having to
that's
be a
right.
part of it. And that's the difference, right? That's the benign violation of what we thought was going to happen, you know. Because all of us have been in a situation where we're not sure if we should speak up, if we should say something. Hey, you over there, that's stop doing, But now we realize it's not even that situation. This is different. You're now part of a threesome because that's the next tag.
And do you have to sell that on stage by like turning and saying, like, speak to the person on your left, speak to the person on your right to really use your stage presence to illustrate that you're in the middle?
That's one way to do it. Oh, that's a great way to do it in addition to yeah, because you were like, hey, does anyone like da 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 like you say it left and right.
Back and forth.
Hey,
Okay.
does one of you want to trade me for my middle seat? Yeah.
So, okay, so yeah. So we're seeing the blueprint in action. This is really
And if
cool to
not, just
like
so you
bond
know,
together.
this is my first threesome. So I want to so be gentle. Through the heightening devices, you can anthropomorphize the the rack, the table, whatever you call it, the
Tray table,
tray
yeah.
table. So now the tray table can be like, oh my God, am I in an upright position? Or whatever.
Okay, so it's like a connect. That's a connector, or because it can be.
Yeah,
That's pretty good. Or
the tray table wasn't the only thing in an upright position,
see, now we're rolling.
right?
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Um,
gonna write that one down.
you can do contrast. You know, in first class, everybody gets their own seat. In economy class, where I'm at, you automatically get injected into a threesome. So now that's a contrast.
So we're
Not that I
using
have
another
anything
heightening
against
device.
that, but I just would like to be aware since it's my first one or whatever. I'd like to be asked. You do a cut back to the two of them boarding the flight. Oh God, I love you. Oh God, I love you too. I'm gonna fuck you in the plane. Oh, I'm gonna fuck you in the plane. Yeah, but I'm in seat A and seat C. So, you know, who cares?
That's not
Whatever.
gonna, is that gonna stop us?
That's not gonna stop us. That's or cut back to let's see what else.
But their bus ride there on the shuttle when they were in
Right, yeah, like
row
they
A and
are
row C.
right. They're right. They're doing it on the shuttle. Or even before the shuttle, you could cut back to them on in a carpool, to get to the airport or something, like whatever. But yeah, but it could be the same thing, or it could be different. It could be like cut back to the two of them when they're kids. Like maybe that guy had to deal with something like that in a different scenario, and so that this is why he thinks it how it works or whatever. You could cut forward to the three of you smoking a cigarette afterwards, right? Together. That was a great threesome. Thank you for inviting me. Well, we didn't really invite you. You just you said it. A different perspective. You could do from the point of view of the person behind you. You could do it from oh my God, how do I get involved in that? That looks like fun. Hey, honey, did we not get that with our ticket? Do we not get the threesome ticket? You could do it from the Karen behind you. She could be upset about it. Different perspective could be from the pilot. Attention, if you look on your right, you'll see the Grand Canyon. If you look on your left, you'll see a threesome with somebody who didn't expect it. Right? So there's that one. Exaggeration, how awkward was it? How what was how would we say how like so the exaggerated would be like, now I'm part of a threesome. Now we're smoking a cigarette together. Exaggerating. Now I'm
Do we ask how blank is it for an exaggeration?
what was your blank? I can't see on your screen.
How intrusive is it, I think, or
Oh, how
what did we
intrusive. Yeah.
say?
So
Yeah.
exaggerate how intrusive it was. now we're hanging our underwear on the back of the seat in front of us, and now we're on Facebook Live, and because the kid across the aisle has a podcast. You know, that how intrusive was it? Now we're my legs are extending into the aisle in front of me because I like to lay out when I'm having sex. I don't like to scrunch. You know, extension. If we're going to do this in an airline, where else can we do it? You know, are we going to do it in traffic? Are we going to do it on the flight back? Hey, I'm booked back in 3 days. Are you guys on the same flight? Are we going to, or do I got to get the guy? Do I have to drum up my own action?
I'm pulling up my extension card here, the notes I took from your book. I have
Right?
extension. I wrote to myself, take action another step further.
Yeah.
And I wrote, as long as this is happening, why not this?
Right. So as long as we're in the same row together, are we going to go out and get dinner afterwards? Are we going to? We might as well. Hey, we're all heading to Atlanta. Let's get a hotel room or extend it. Like let's I don't know.
I think in your book, you write, I wrote it as an example on my card. If there's no smoking, why not no farting? Is that Jimmy
Right, Steve
Gaffigan? I
Martin.
forget.
Yeah, yeah,
Steve
yeah.
Martin.
Mind if I smoke? No, mind if I fart? So yeah, so if we're gonna have a threesome in together, why don't we also, get married? Why don't we start a cult? Whatever. Those are fantasy
Okay,
outlet
hold
for
on.
frustration.
Okay,
Yeah,
this is the if only I could, right? And then you find a solution device.
yeah. So yeah, like for this one, like what's your frustration? You have to figure out what's frustrating. Is I'm trying to read a book. I'm trying to get my work done. Your fantasy outlet for that frustration might be to do your work loudly while they're trying to engage in this. And so now oh God, I love you. Oh God, stick it in me. The hypotenuse of the whatever your
And
economic
then
thing.
you add funny specifics like or
Yeah,
yeah, like
exactly. Yeah.
the
Kind of.
elasticity of demand of a transit function is 2.7 and then
Oh God, dude, why are you doing that? Oh God, I lost my boner. Thanks a lot, pal. You're
no
welcome.
longer
That's what we economists do. We soften, your attempts, whatever. Now can I get back to my reading? You know.
This is going so fast. You're rapidly going through these. I need to catch up. Okay, we did extension. You always jump to anthropomorphizing first because you're a big act out guy, aren't you? So that's one of
Also,
your
it's the first one on the list, so I
oh, it's
always
true.
see it first. Yeah, but yeah, I like to make things come alive. I like to have things that don't normally speak, like the airline seat. That's underneath you guys. The row. The three seats. There could be three people, like three voices, right? I got her ass on me. I got his ass on me. I got this guy who doesn't even know what he's doing. Kind of thing. What else?
Okay, hold on. Let's see. I got extension, anthropomorph, different perspective. We did fantasy outlet for
Or it
frustration.
also could be like the anthropomorphizing. It could be the bird that's flying by the plane. Oh my God, honey, look in the window. Do you see what I see? An economist is getting laid. Nah, impossible.
I write that. It's the bird's perspective. Oh, maybe that's a pullback and reveal or a bait and switch. You have the bird say something like, "You won't
Right, right,
believe this," and then the real reveal is, the economist is actually getting laid. When
right,
the first
right.
bird
Not that
meant
I'm
to say
seeing it,
that,
but
look at this.
right, exactly. So now you're anthropomorphizing and doing a bait and switch,
So you're combining
and you're doing it's in a way a different perspective, and your different perspective needs to be anthropomorphized. So it's and then
Nice.
a metaphor. You could having people make out to your left and your right is kind of like, and then you have to figure out what that's like. What is it like? It'd be like being a drummer in a band and having the guitarist and the bass player, on the same stool, or it'd be like, well, a metaphor is like, this is like that. So you would
Yeah.
say being in the middle seat while two people are making out on either side of you is like, and then something that doesn't seem like it would be like that, but you figure out how to make it like that. And then you could begin to play that frog bank game where you begin to combine those two things, a threesome and like people in the library, talking loudly next to you or something. It'd be like, Like it's because it's kind of like an unwelcome disruption to what you're doing. So it's like when
Yeah, I guess I need some help writing these metaphors. Or do you start with like a punchline and work backward? Is that a, but like
when the
I'm thinking
metaphors
like
like yeah, the metaphors are like kind of like they're like a gift when you can come up with them, when you can think of them, because they're a means to make a point. So you have to figure out what point are you trying to make, and what else makes that point. Because like the idea is I'm embarrassed. I'm stuck in a position that it is awkward, that I don't want to be in, by people who are rude, who don't really get that they're doing this to me and don't care. But it
you
can't
could
be like
pop.
a direct comparison. It can't be like, it's like being, it'd be like
Let's
you're a bird trying to fly, and there's, I don't know, like, yeah, it's hard. It's a hard, like feeling that awkward. There's a bunch of ways you could sort of demonstrate. It was like when I was a kid, and blah 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 blah. It was like, it's like at work when I'm, you know um, in the middle stall, and there's two people trying to have a conversation on either side of me while they're taking a shit. Again, though, like these would be all the things you would just brainstorm and jot down and skip over them because they don't make you laugh when you go back and look at them. But at least you're like
still
trying
do.
to you're trying to like flex the metaphor muscle, and they're not easy to come up with. That's why when you finally do come up with the one, it gets a big laugh. You just keep it. You're like, oh shit, this is golden. I love this. Negative to positive. That's what is this awkward? Yeah, but at least it's my first threesome. Like that's a good, from negative to positive.
Yeah, we
Overstating the
did
obvious. Um,
Oh yeah, it's still an overstate the obvious.
like overstating the obvious would be, you know, when one flies on an airplane, one normally doesn't expect to get laid from strangers. Certainly not while because they're getting laid or whatever. Overstating the obvious. Airline flights typically don't come with the ability to your seat, your row mates. That's overstating the obvious. A lot of times the flight attendants frown upon people getting laid in their section. A lot of times parents who have kids that are in the plane aren't real keen
Parents
on
with
watching you. Like, that's overstating the obvious.
got it. That's good.
A parody TV
They
show,
were
movie, or song. I'm alone in the seat, and I'm getting laid. You sing a song about it. You go a court TV. Tell us again the situation where you were trying to get on a flight from Denver to Atlanta, and whatever, like whatever the Perry Mason scene is, and you do the funny specifics, and you do the court scene from the TV show where this was the big crime. But
yeah, I see like
Stifler,
funny.
did you or did you not egg them on? I was just trying to sit down. I didn't even know
Have my
what was
laptop
happening. I had my
open.
headset on. Did you or did you not? Whatever. But I mean, again, like, there might be a movie that this reminds you of, so you reenact the movie, but with your specifics in it. And again, it's a frog bank situation, kind of thing. Poetic justice, that could be, somehow they get punished on the way out, not because they were gross, but because they were one of the few married couples that were getting laid on that thing or whatever. I don't know. But poetic justice is like the person who has it coming has it coming to them, but in a way that befits the crime, kind of a thing. Like, poetic justice would be that they end up having a baby, and it's named after me. Something like that. I don't know.
They started a 509, 529 account for their kid because I was talking about the economics of investment.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
529.
But what's the positive of this? The positive is I'm finally flying to visit my wherever you were going, and then the negative is, now I have to arrive with someone else's sperm on my jacket. I mean, but that's gross. I mean, that's not your kind of humor,
Yeah.
But it's a positive to negative. I was enjoying my complimentary soda and chips, and now I'm just, I'm not able to hear my movie lyrics because of her moaning or whatever. I don't know. problem solve, that one of your problem solves that you already did was you talk boring economics, and now he can't maintain an erection. So that's a funny way to solve this problem. Well, I guess we're not going to be doing this anymore, are we? Recognition, it'd have to be like a famous time where this has happened before, a similar pattern that happened that you can compare it to or point out. But a recognition laugh is kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that. I've seen that before.
The ones I found easier to start as a younger comic to start doing is the anthropomorphizing,
Yeah.
different perspectives. I
Mhm.
also think that let's see,
Like sound effects,
extension.
extension, right? If this, then why not that? Sound effects, like you just. But again, you're not just going to do sound effects. You're going to add sound effects to one of these other things. So like you're going to add sound effects to your different perspective act out. You're going to add sound effects to your misinterpretation or to your anthropomorphizing. You know, I see, look, so it's a usually a sound effect is a funny way to add, like extra laughs to it, extra heightens to it. Superiority, like that's a good one. At least I'm not the person who has to sit in this row next.
What's that one called?
In the wet spot. I don't want to sit in the wet spot. Like everyone knows that's a recognition laugh. They're like, oh my God, the wet
Yeah.
spot. Right. So now, then that could be problem solved. Hey, we might want to fold out the map and sit it on that chair because, so the next people don't have to deal with the wet spot.
Give me a contrast there. So most times the next person on the next flight just has to deal with the
Right. Exactly.
pack of peanuts that
But
were left
usually,
over in the
right. Yeah. The spilled chips and the crumbs and but they have to deal with the wet spot. Yeah. That's a
yeah.
good play for a contrast because it's like it hits you.
Okay, how about a
Re-
reinterpretation?
reinterpretation is like,
And what is that? Is that the one that you go, there's X and there's Y,
yeah.
so
So
that means
that means, yeah, reinterpretation. I'm um I'm an economist, and there's people getting laid next to me. So you know what that means. And then, one of us is counting the number of rubbers we used, or one of us is trying to maximize the amount of whatever specific, blah, blah, blah. Sarcasm. Well, this is comfortable. Well, this is sexy. Well, I certainly have enjoyed meeting the two of you. Well, I can see how I guess I see why you guys are happily married and my wife and I are struggling. I don't know. So sarcasm is, sarcasm, self-reflection. Yeah, well, that's a good one because for you as an economist, if it were me and my wife doing this, well, here's how I do it. Like, so how does an economist do it better or do it differently or you know, uncommon worlds. So it was almost like, does this happen to birds while they're migrating south? Does this, where someone's trying to fly and the two birds are trying to look on either side of them. Like, hey, what is, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny because like a lot of them they don't occur to you right off the bat. So sometimes you just gotta like sit there and think about it and brainstorm it and just throw up a bunch of shit and then and then you might like, okay,
but even in this 40 minutes that we've been workshopping this bit, we you made me laugh a number of times. Like this, there's 3 or 4 minutes material here already we developed in just this 45
and this
minute.
is just one, like you have one bit, like this is just one little bit. So you're not going to need 3 or 4 minutes worth of stuff for this. But what you'll be able to do then is now go back and pull out the things that made you laugh the most that you would want to deliver and that apply to your comedy lens more clearly. Like the things that allow you to be the economist who's adventurous. Because the adventurous economist, what does he do when there's a twosome that's happening on either side of him? Like I'm not unfaithful to my wife, so I can't join in. But as an economist, what I can do is blah, 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 blah. And then you begin to think how that's funny. Because I don't know enough economist phrases and the things that you guys do to be funny about it. Wordplay where you as an economist, you like come up with your world, your the different parts of your world, and then figure out which one of those can be misconstrued with innuendo.
Yeah, so you had the wonky economist language, but it sounds dirty, like endowment
Right.
point or
Right, exactly. And then you can begin to, maybe part of your bit has you that you're using that in order to get him to lose his erection, or whatever. Or, I don't know. It's hard. Like it's weird because, yeah, voices and impersonations like that. That's, you can do either of that. Oh my God, they did. Well, I don't even know that. And then it's you, or the attention passengers, you
oh yeah,
know,
there you go.
like I like the one about, the pilot, on your left, you're going to see the Grand Canyon, and those of you on the right are going to see an economist in his first threesome. Mommy, how come there's a kid that you could do, miss, or, you do the old, I'll have what they're having, you know, which is that begins to be like a movie reference, like a,
Stewardess, I speak jive.
yeah, right, exactly, right. And like you can't like that can't be your joke, but since everyone knows about that, you can use that to get a laugh because you're not stealing it. You're not acting like you came up with that thing. You're referencing it. So that's a recognition laugh.
Are you nervous? Yes. First time? No, I've been nervous
Right.
a number of times.
Again, play on words. First time flying, and he's like,
But even that's
I,
the joke structure of that. You could run that through the blueprint really easy. It's a very tight joke, but it's
yeah,
you're expecting the norm of first time flying, where
right,
his response setups that satisfies the initial setup, meaning his first time being nervous.
right. It's a bait and switch. It's a wordplay.
So this is what I wanted to see, and I think this is showcasing the blueprint in action. And we just took something that you didn't prepare any material for, and you just ran in 40 minutes, created a decent act. I thought that I could
A bit, yeah. Like,
workshop.
yeah, you could take the best of that, and then what you'd have to do is you'd have to rewrite it in an order that makes sense where you can deliver it, and then and you'd have to begin to do a bunch of like set them up with a misdirection and then hit them over here with that, and you've done that, with a bunch of these that we've done. So each time you do that, and each time you heighten it, you have a potential to get a laugh because you've flexed, you've done a thing, you've done something, you've heightened you benignly violated a norm by heightening something about it that's unexpected.
What should I do for homework for this? Like I have like now 6 pages of notes that we vomited here in the last 45 minutes
Oh,
as we ran through the heightening devices. What's my next step?
well, one thing I would love to see you do is take the best of what we just did and create what you would think would be a good bit. Like write it out so we can see it. So and then you can almost like perform it on the for us.
Okay.
So that would be one
I think
thing I
that's
would say. Another one would be to do this again, but for something else, where you have an idea for the like what you like. I like how you're taking an idea and then you're taking a stab at it with the blueprint, and then I can sort of redirect you if you're missing something or if it, and then help you to heighten it. But it'd be cool to watch you attempt to do these heightening devices to a different bit and then run them by me. And then I can add my own, and I can, because that's how people write together, is you tell them your idea and then that triggers something in the other person's head and they go, oh, ba 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 ba. And then you write those down, and then you pull the best of all that stuff.
so I'm gonna write my homework for this week. I'm gonna try to rewrite that bit for something I can actually do, test it at an open mic. And then I'm gonna try to do the same exact thing we did there. Start with a premise, run through the blueprint, and then throw the heightening devices at it. And then I'll come back to you in a week or two and see what we can
Yeah,
uh
what's a premise that you're working on right now, or what's another thing that you're
I don't know if this is any good, but let's see. Okay. Like in my book I'm working on, I have this story about I met a guy who was sign languaging in a bar, and I got drunk and talked to him for hours as I was hiking the Colorado Trail, and so it's part of the book I'm working on. But the word for beer in sign language is B, like a B. This is B and sign, and then beer is like you're drinking a B, but bitch is this way,
oh, funny.
so it's beer and bitch are like very close to each other, and so that's kind of the premise is like what's that like? I guess I kind of did, let me see, interpretation or extension. So bitch and beer, there's a slight difference in American Sign Language. Basically, it's one thing that's really good adjacent to something that's very negative. Like what would that be like in English? That would be like if the word cunnilingus was actually pronounced Auschwitz.
It's
Uh,
like the difference between this, we're number one, and fuck you,
yeah, okay. That's real
right?
close, right?
I struggle with the same thing. Sometimes I want to say, go over there, and sometimes I want to say, go for yourself. So that would be one I.
Okay, so is that a premise? Is that a good starting point to just throw the heightening devices on, or did I
Yeah,
not?
yeah, it would be. I'd want to know like you who you're talking to again with this.
I didn't think about you mean the audience or the
No, I mean like who, like what, like where did you get that information from?
I just took some classes on sign language and I just know the
Oh, okay,
difference.
gotcha.
Beer and bitch are very close to each other. And I just had that
Well,
popped to me
okay,
as the
so
right premise.
you're the professor economist. So maybe you teach sometimes people who are can't hear. So it's interesting to you to understand sign language, so that explains why you're even thinking about it. And then the idea that there two things are really similar. And then to me, it would be funny to see you cut forward to my first attempt at a bar to use sign language. Do you want a beer, bitch? Hey, I don't mean to bitch about this beer, but it's warm, right?
And
And
you're acting
it's
out right.
warm, and I want to learn karate. I don't know, but yeah, but it has to be like now that you've introduced the idea that these two are close, now we have to figure out like how can that be funny for someone who's an economist, and like where does that become challenging for you? Do you take a negative to a positive? I'm yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's tough. Yeah, I'd have to think about that one for a little bit.
But yeah, as a writing technique, you just ask yourself, what's typically it's negative to call someone a bitch. That's going to end in a bad
Right.
yeah, but so you ask yourself what's positive about calling someone a bitch, right? And then see what let your brainstorm on that.
True. Yeah. I mean, like, because sometimes in certain friendships, people use that like somewhat affectionately, you know, like when you're busting each other's balls, kind of. This bitch only drank 15 beers.
That could be a callback too, then like 10 minutes later in your set when you're doing the sign
Right.
language, or maybe you don't even say it.
Because
Maybe
now
you just
right, beer, please.
thank
Yeah,
you.
so
Yeah.
yeah, you'd have to like really kind of like begin, like, again, I would just anthropomorphizing, like what does your hand feel like while it's doing that? Like, hey man, I don't mind talking about alcohol, but I don't think it's very polite to call people bitches. So I'm offended when you do that kind of thing. My hand doesn't like to be part of this. Yeah, different perspective. Deaf bartender, or I don't know, like yeah, it's hard because you're like, really, what are you taking the piss out of? Like, what's your struggle with this? Like, to me, the thing that's difficult for you as somebody who's new to American, or to what is it, ESL
wholesale, but yeah, American Sign Language.
or ASL. So someone who's kind of new to ASL, like that's like, I don't like the way they put those so close. Is there other things in the American Sign Language that are also close? Is it like this is mother-in-law and this is for, oh Jesus, that's too close. That's too close. I don't want to make that mistake. This is, I guess you'd have to figure out, are there other places where that's also applicable? I mean, that's another way to look at it.
But is
You
this
could
right?
do
Is this right?
cut back to the first, like, to the first meeting when we were just figuring out, like, how do we do American Sign Language? Like, okay, this is beer. Oh yeah, beer. That makes sense. That makes beer. Now this is bitch. Whoa, wait. Why are you? That's too close. Like, one's like, it's a half an inch away. So then why does this person want that? You
What if the
know,
premise is the person that they were developing sign language was drunk
there you
when they
go.
were designing the
Because that's a funny, like,
wouldn't it
now
be
it becomes,
funny?
yeah. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Bitch, some beer. Bitch, some beer. Okay, these people can hear. Let them figure it out on their own or whatever. Yeah.
This reminds me of like what's his name's bit about golf. Robin Williams. The Robin Williams thing about golf, he cuts back to the invention of golf and it's like,
Here's what we're
puck
gonna
on your
do.
ball.
Yeah. And then he does it in the Scottish accent. And then he does
Yeah.
yeah, he exaggerates how difficult golf is and how like what if we try to do that on purpose kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna run that bit through the humor device practice this week, Robin Williams golf bit, and then maybe try to see if I can mimic that for this bit as far
Yeah.
as my cut back to.
Yeah. Cause and then like I want to know though, like when do you use American Sign Language? Why would you use it? Like what, what's your plans? And so therefore it makes more sense for you to be talking about this. Like I'm wanting to know this for a real serious reason. I'm a professor, and sometimes the people who come to my class, they can't hear. So I have to be, whatever. So I can't afford to look like an idiot. And then it turns out American Sign Language is set up to make you look like an idiot. So it'd be funny if there was another one that you could do, that's also close. So, but I think like the middle finger and the pointing is kind of similar. I like that's a funny, maybe those two meetings were happening simultaneously. We need to figure out pointing and finger, and then we need to figure out beer and bitch. I don't know, like, you start to just play with that.
Yeah, I'm really seeing this how this is operationalized now, all those heightening
Yeah,
devices.
right. It's like a game plan that you can practice, and it's not a guarantee. Like it's not like everything that comes out of this is gold. It's amazing. It's like no, it's as funny as you can be. It's as clever as you can be, but at least you know the techniques and tactics that allow you to be more clever and creative. Like it shows you how to flex, how to heighten, how to begin to do the things that pro comics do. And then you're gonna do them like it's like here's how Eric Clapton does that solo. So you're gonna try it, but it's not gonna sound like Eric Clapton at first, but eventually you might be able to imitate him because you understand now, oh, I get it. You do this with your fingers. When you do, it's a triplet. So you don't play all three notes with the thing. You have to go dee 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 and then one. So oh, I didn't know that. Now I know. That's how oh, I got it. Hey. So it's that kind of thing, where you're learning some advanced tactics, but you're learning them in a basic way. So then you can start to apply them to your own ideas. These made me laugh, so therefore I think I can use them to make other people laugh. I got why that was funny in the moment, like whatever. And then your job is to recreate that over and over again to where you're misdirecting people and hitting them with a surprise that you know where you're going, and then when you get that, then all of a sudden, and you do it in front of live people and they're laughing, you're sometimes because you're used to flexing and like in the moment you flex even further because you allow yourself, and then you record that, and then when you listen to the recording, you're like, that one worked, add it to the bit, and now all of a sudden, like that's what I did with my bed seduction bit. It started off with Michael, I want you in me. And that was it. That was the whole bit. When my bed was trying to seduce me, I was just getting a cheap laugh about I want you in me. It's a play on words. And so that when I heard it, I was like, there's something there. Oh, how do I set that up now? How do I begin to use that for me? And then all of a sudden there's a whole back and forth between me and my bed, because that's what happens when someone tries to seduce you in the morning. Oh, baby, come on, stick around. It's just a quick little nap. I don't have time. I can't. And then the climax is, instead of an orgasm, it's, and then that's boom. And then we get it. We get that he just came, basically in the world of sleep. That's a frog bank.
Yeah.
That's a frog bank because it's a lover seducing you back into bed, and me not wanting me wanting to not want to go to work and wanting to sleep again. So that those two things are coming together. Like it's now my bed becomes my lover, and the sex becomes sleep. So those, like frog bank, those two things have to come together. So every time I mention something, it has to be about I want to fall asleep because I'm tired, but it's really I want to because I'm horny. So those two, so each one, every line in that bit has those two worlds coming together. Michael, I want you in me. That's what
But
a
that's
woman might say, and that's also what my bed is saying because it wants me inside of the covers.
and so it has that connector. It has that the setup. It satisfies the initial setup, but it has a different meaning. So the
Right.
the overall blueprint of the joke is just that boom, boom, boom. But then you've developed that into like 4 or 5 minute bit, right?
Well, it was like a couple minute bit, and then it also had an extension to it because now my alarm clock also talked to me. It was, get your ass out of bed. You gotta go to work, and you hate your job. Heh, heh, heh. So my alarm clock mocking me, because of my life choices. So now I've got, like, my angry dad and my alarm clock, and that's Frogbank coming together. And so now my alarm clock is saying the things that a guy who's looking down at me for being a lazy ass and sleeping too much and not wanting to get up and face the world, the adult figure in my world is, but it's a clock. So it's a bank and it's a frog. My stuff was always, I was in the moment and I would just riff with the crowd. And so probably a lot of times I would ask people about their day, about their life, about getting up early, about and so it probably came out of that. The and probably at one point I just anthropomorphized my clock and then it's so loud that I love to do loud stuff. I love to do bah, I love to get, wake the crowd up kind of thing. So it probably also came out of that. And then what happens is once you figure out the game, oh, I'm bringing frog and bank together. Oh, I get it. That's the game. Then you just play that game over and over again, and then you get rid of all the things that don't get people to laugh, and you keep the ones that get them to laugh. Because a lot of writers that are beginning don't understand that first, they don't give themselves permission to create a first draft, and you have to be able to suck just to get something down, because you can always improve it, but you can't improve something that's not there,
Or you can't build a callback joke if you have nothing on the page
right?
to begin with. So,
Exactly, man. All right, Stiff. See you, brother.